Peace family and welcome back to Discipline to Keys. My name is Keen Singh and this is educational content only, not financial advice. Now tonight I want to get into the truth about the GYD and why it's not unique to just Guyana. Yes, most of the world's currencies are structurally weak, but there's a difference in that GYD exposes the weakness much clearer, and here's why. You see, GYD has been structurally weak for one core reason, really. Guyana earns in USD, it spends in USD, but it lives in GYD. Now, without enough domestic reinvestment or production to reverse that flow, it will continue to be weak. Now, let's try to break this down a little clearer. You see, currency strength is about demand. It's not about pride, it's not about resources. A currency strengthens when others need it. So people, companies, and countries must want your currency to buy your goods. They must need your currency to invest with or use your currency as a store of value. But the GYD has never had a strong external demand. Why? Well, Guyana historically exported raw commodities and not finished goods. So those exports were priced and settled in USD. Foreign buyers never needed GYD. So from the beginning, the GYD functioned as a local use currency, not as a demand currency. Now, imports created a permanent USD demand or an anchor for the USD because Guyana imports fuel, food, machinery, medicine, consumer goods, and they are all priced in USD. Now, that means that businesses constantly need USD, banks need USD, and the country constantly converts GYD to USD. So structurally, the USD demand stays high and GYD supply also remains high. Now that imbalance alone keeps GYD weak, even with oil. And I know oil feels like it should change everything, but currencies don't move with vibes. Here's what actually happens. Oil is sold in USD. Revenue flow Revenue flows into sovereign funds, reserves, and contracts. And most of that return is used to service foreign obligations, to import goods and services, or to pay to foreign companies. So very little of that USD actually converts directly into local wages. Very little of that USD builds local manufacturing, and little of that USD creates exported industries that are priced in GYD. So oil does increase Guyana's national wealth, but it does not automatically increase our currency demand. And this is very key to understand. Now, part of this is mechanical and not so much emotional. You see, the USD strengthens globally. And when it does, it takes more GYD to buy one USD. And when import costs rise in GYD terms, purchasing power falls. That's why people tend to feel the pressure. Now, it's not because GYD is collapsing, but because the GYD is a dependent currency tied to US priced trade. So as long as import exceeds exports in value, as long as exports are settled in USD and reinvestment remains very limited, the Guyana dollar cannot meaningfully strengthen even with oil. Now, export money tends to strengthen a currency, but only when it's reinvested locally. So that means that building domestic production, it means creating jobs and wages, developing industries that export again. Now that creates a loop of production, income, demand, currency strength. But Guyana's historical loop has been extract, export, spend externally, repeat. Now that loop supports USD, not GYD. Now here's why this has always been true for the Guyana dollar. And this isn't something new. This is called a colonial trade structure, where value is extracted, its exports are priced in foreign currencies, and local industrialization is discouraged. Now, these are patterns that have persisted from ages ago. To begin with, it was never designed to be strong. It was designed to circulate locally whilst value exited. Now, oil doesn't change this overnight. It only creates opportunity to change it if policy and reinvestment flows. Now, the GYD isn't weak because Guyana failed. It's weak because economic structure has never changed. And oil changes future potential, it does, but not current mechanics. So until Guyana produces more domestically and exports higher value goods, reinvest those export earnings locally, and reduce their dependency on imports, then the GYD will remain stable but weak. And when USD rises, the pressure always shows up locally first. So before you ask about what does structurally weak mean, I want you to understand that a currency is structurally weak when it is designed to lose purchasing power over time. And this isn't caused by mismanagement alone, but because of how the modern monetary system is designed. And this applies to almost every fiat currency. You see, all fiat currencies are debt based, none are backed by gold anymore, and every major currency is created through debt issuance. And that includes USD, EUR, GBP, JPY, CAD, AUD, and yes, GYD. Debt based money requires expansion, which guarantees inflation and currency debasement over time. Now, inflation is not a bug. Inflation is a feature. It's not like one of those bugs on your phone. It's a built-in feature. Central banks openly target inflation at around usually 2%, which mathematically means your money is guaranteed to buy less over time. And this applies globally, not just in Guyana. Now, strong currencies are only strong relatively. You see, the way you said, oh, USD strengthening is bad for Guyana, understand that our word strong or strengthening is to be used relatively because the US dollar is considered strong, but it only means it's weakening slower than others or that others are collapsing much faster than USD. It does not mean that USD is preserving its purchasing power. And yes, I know that the Guyana dollar feels weaker compared to USD. And it's because it's a smaller economy, and smaller economies have the same problem as larger economies without a buffer, though. You see, Guyana's import dependence, Guyana imports, just like many other countries, many finished products, and a weaker currency hits prices immediately. Now, there is limited monetary tools available, limited tools that can allow small central banks to do things like absorb shocks, to defend currency, or to control capital flows. Now, there is the salary lag or the wage lag, where prices adjust far faster than your salary or your wages because purchasing power is something that collapses very visibly. And understand that this isn't just Guyana, this is systemic. Look at Argentina, their pesos, look at Sri Lanka's rupee, look at Turkey's lira. They there's they have these special features baked into their economy, so to say, right? And really and truly, these are early examples of a global trend. And this is the uncomfortable truth that you need to hear, that you may And this is the uncomfortable truth that you really need to hear. You see, the real divide is no longer strong currency versus weak currency. Because if we're looking at it, just about every currency is weak, is just that some are exposing it faster than others. The real divide is fiat holders versus asset holders. Cash holders, they lose quietly, and asset holders, they adjust. Now, what has historically survived currency weaknesses? Well, across every culture and era, gold and silver, productive land, ownership in productive systems like businesses and infrastructure, skills that earn in multiple currencies. And this is why families that understand stewardship survive monetary resets. Now, the bottom line here is that the GYD isn't broken. Guyana dollar is not broken. The system is working just as it was designed to work. Guyana just follows, or Guyana just shows the truth much sooner than many developed nations are doing. And the question isn't, is my currency weak? The question is, what am I storing my labor in? Is it gold and silver? Is it land? Is it in businesses? Is it in skills? What are you going to develop yourself in? What are you going to store your labor in to operate in a system that has been designed to operate as it's performing?